I've seen folks building houses before, simple homes with sweat and grit, but I'd never seen anything quite like this. Growing up, I watched men haul timber and hammer nails, their hands rough from years of labor. A woman building a house? That was new to me. Not just building it, doing it better than most guys I'd seen. While others my age were out shopping or scrolling their phones, Lila was out there, relying on her own two hands and the kind of know-how that comes from years of hard work. In her mountain village, where most of the grown men left to chase jobs in the city, only the elderly, the kids, the women, and a few nurses stayed behind. With no men around, the women stepped up. They became the backbone of the place, working the fields, fixing roofs, and, in Lila's case, building homes from scratch. Here, the women are tough as nails. Locals joke that they're used like mules, carrying loads, pulling their weight, and then some. Mules turn into trucks, trucks into trains. It's a chain of grit and endurance. Some folks are born with everything handed to them. Others, like Lila, learn to walk by stumbling first. Self-reliance isn't just a choice here. It's survival, and it's made the women of this village something special. Hardworking, capable, and fearless. They can do anything short of building a rocket, and even that might not be off the table if you gave them enough time. A few days back, Lila finished a cozy little house for her mother-in-law. She'd already built one before, a neat setup with a bamboo bridge leading in and out, but she hadn't slowed down. Her uncle, who works out of state, called to say he's bringing his girlfriend home for the holidays. With an extra person in tow, the old house just wouldn't cut it. So Lila got to work. She had a deadline. A new house before New Year's. No pressure, right? Most guys I know wouldn't even know where to start with a project like that. But for Lila, it's second nature. She's been honing her skills since she was a kid. Carpentry, problem solving, the works, building solo. No big deal. No big deal. In her village, where hard work makes you a local legend, Lila's the queen of the hill. To her, throwing up a house is easier than childbirth, and she'd probably say that with a grin. It all starts with the wood. Lila heads to the backwoods, picking out the best timber she can find. Sturdy oak and pine, the kind that'll last decades. She's picky about it too. The quality of the wood sets the tone for the whole house. With her axe and saw, she cuts each piece to size, then carves precise notches. Think of them like puzzle pieces, so the logs lock together tight. That's how she builds her frame. Strong, steady, and built to last. Now, here's the tricky part. How does one person lift a heavy wooden frame? Lila's got that figured out too. She rigs up a system with bamboo poles and ropes, like a makeshift pulley. A quick tug, and up goes the frame, easy as pie. You've got to hand it to her. The ingenuity of folks who've worked the land forever is something else. She ties the beams in place, connects the frames, and repeats the process. Before you know it, the skeleton of the house is standing tall. Next up, she slots in the roof beams, thick logs she's measured out to span the top. Soon, she'll tackle the roof tiles and flooring, cutting and laying them herself. Step by step, this house is coming together, all from one woman's hands. It's not just a building, it's a testament to what you can do when you've got grit, smarts, and a little bit of stubbornness. Lila's out there proving something every day. You don't need a crew or fancy tools, just a willingness to get it done. And when her uncle walks through that door come New Year's, he'll see more than a house. He'll see what Lila's made of. The mountains around Lila's village are lush and green, thanks to rain that pours year-round. The air is thick with humidity, and the ground stays soggy more often than not. So, Lila didn't just build any house. She went for a cantilever design, lifting it about 3 feet off the damp earth. Smart move. With the main frame already up, she finished the roof with wooden beams and laid down a solid floor of pine planks. To get in and out, she crafted a sturdy set of stairs from leftover boards, connecting the house to the ground like a little bridge. By the time she nailed the last step in place, the sun was dipping below the horizon. No rest for Lila, though. Back home, a crew of hungry mouths, her family, was waiting. In this quiet mountain village, her chickens, ducks, cows, and sheep are her pride and joy, her daily companions through the grind. She'd spent the whole day hammering and hauling, but there was no kicking back with a cold one just yet. Duty called. The next morning, Lila was up with the dawn, boots on and back at the construction site. New Year's was creeping closer, and she had to wrap this house up today. No pressure, right? The clock was ticking, and her to-do list was packed. With the frame standing tall, the next step was sealing it up, because a house with wind whistling through every side isn't much of a house at all. She needed walls, and fast, but Lila's no ordinary builder. Her materials, unique. Her methods, unique. Her methods, pure genius. Before tackling the walls, she turned her attention to the windows. Grabbing some oak scraps, she sketched out her lines with a pencil, then fired up her saw. The whir of the blade filled the air as she cut and sanded, her hands moving like she'd been born with a tool belt on. In no time, she'd shaped a window frame, about 2 feet by 3 feet, smooth and precise. She notched the edges with a chisel, locking the pieces together like Lego bricks. If you saw her work, you'd swear she could give a master carpenter a run for their money. Heck, even Paul Bunyan would tip his hat. Once the window was set, she bolted it into the frame with wooden pegs, making sure it wouldn't budge. Next up, the door. She grabbed some wooden strips, drilled round holes for dowels, and secured them to the top and bottom of the frame. Then came the door frame itself, another quick masterpiece of measuring, cutting, and fitting. She slid it into place, double-checked the alignment, and stepped back, solid as a rock. Now, for the walls. Lila had a plan, and it wasn't your typical drywall or siding. She headed into the woods and hauled back armfuls of bamboo, light, strong, and plentiful. Her idea? Weave it into a fence-like structure to enclose the house. She split the bamboo into thin strips, each about 1 inch wide, and started lacing them between the frame's uprights. It was like watching an artist at work, tight, even, and tough enough to stand up to the mountain winds. Step by step, the gaps closed, and the house started to feel real. Lila's out there, turning bamboo into walls and sweat into progress. With every piece she fits, you can see it. This isn't just a house for her mother-in-law. It's a testament to what one determined woman can do. The New Year's deadline's looming, but Lila, she's got this. Lila's hands moved fast, slicing bamboo into thin, inch-wide strips. She wove them together with the skill of a basket maker, threading each piece through the frame to form the base of the walls. It was simple but sturdy, a foundation she could build on. Then, she grabbed some extra bamboo, shaved it down, and mounted a handrail along the inside of the wall, right by the stairs. Smart touch. You've got to hand it to her. The way she taps into the mountain's resources is pure genius. Using what's around her, local bamboo, free and plentiful, keeps costs low and the work straightforward. That's the kind of know-how you don't learn from a manual. But bamboo alone, that's just the start. Lila wanted these walls to stand strong and keep the chill out. As she climbed the pine stairs to check her work, she'd already set up a blue tarp at the top. Easy access to the roof for later tweaks. With the handrail done, she hiked down to the creek, hauling back buckets of sand and a sack of cement she'd stashed earlier. Mixing them up in a wheelbarrow, she whipped up a gritty batch of mortar. About 2 parts sand to 1 part cement, just right for the job. Back at the house, she slathered the mortar over the bamboo walls with a trowel, scraping it smooth. She didn't stop at one side either. She coated both the inside and outside, layering it thick like frosting on a cake. After a little elbow grease to even out the surface, she stepped back. The walls gleamed, solid and snug. With that, the house was done. Frame, roof, floor, and now walls, all tied together by one woman's grit. The neighbors couldn't help but notice. As they wandered by, they marveled at the finished place. A tidy 20 by 15-foot beauty perched above the damp ground. Lila's something else, one said, shaking his head. Building this for her mother-in-law? That's love. They weren't wrong. Her craftsmanship was top-notch. Every cut precise, every detail thoughtful. And the creativity? Turning bamboo and creek sand into a home? That's next level. So, this house, built from scratch with her bare hands, what's it worth on a scale of 1 to 10? I'd say Lila's earned a solid 10, not just for the structure, but for the heart she poured into it. The way she blended mountain smarts with raw determination, it's the kind of thing that makes you proud to watch. Her uncle's girlfriend won't just have a roof over her head this New Year's. She'll have a story to tell. And Lila, she's already on to the next challenge, probably with a quiet smile, knowing she nailed it.